Y'all, tell me you scared without telling me you're scared. Y'all, Diddy just requested an extension. I know what you're saying, T. So we already heard about the 2-week extension. Nah. Diddy just asked for a 2-month extension. He doesn't even want this to start until after the twins are back for summer vacation. Y'all, let's get into this. So much has happened. Diddy is scrambling. He now sees what Mark Rico, the only black man on his case, was trying to tell him. You are not ready for trial, and you really need to do something about yourself. He hired Young Thug's lawyer, at Brian something Esquire. Y'all know who he is. He's the one that got Young Thug out of jail. However, I don't know. Brian is an amazing lawyer, but he's not a magician. And let's be real. Part of the reasons that Young Thug actually got off is because the Fulton County's DA office was acting a fool. The judge was running amok. You don't got any of those problems here. And let me tell you something. When it came to Young Thug, you're not messing with Fulton County. You are messing with the United States government, baby. They're going to make sure everything is above board and very tight. Same thing with the judge. But let's talk about Diddy begging for not 2 weeks, but now it moved up to 60 days. I told y'all Diddy wasn't ready. And I told you the only thing Diddy can do is deflect, deny. On top of that, now you're trying to act like you don't know. You got to look through evidence. I thought Cassie wanted it. I thought you knew what your defense was. Y'all, let's get into this because you could not make this up. Hold on. Okay, this is directly from the court reporters. Deadline covered it. Dominic McPattern. They said Sean Diddy Combs seeks a 60-day delay. Smex trafficking trial claims feds too slow in sharing evidence. Diddy, you was the one that fought for this. You were the one that begged for this. You were the one taunting the feds along with Mark Agnifilio. Yeah, I know, we're cut. The judge kept saying, are you sure you're ready? Are you sure you're ready? This seems a lot. Are you sure you're ready? Diddy said he was ready, and now look. Anyway, right? They said Sean Diddy Combs loved to play tough guy when he was on top. But looking down the legal barrel of life behind bars, if found guilty of sex trafficking and more, the incarcerated Bad Boys Records founder now wants more time before his day in court. Again, why is this so big? Because Diddy was the one that demanded that he be allowed to go to trial early. They actually wanted to put this trial to 2026. Mark Agnifilio convinced them that if he said, no, a speedy trial, they wouldn't have time to get evidence. They did. Anyway, right? In a short letter, Diddy's defense team, Mark Agnifilio, asked a federal judge for a 2-month adjournment because the new evidence introduced by prosecutors with the latest superseding indictment against Diddy was too much. Now, and here's the thing. The superseding indictment also, it's saying, has people that work very closely with them and senior management of Combs Global, stuff like that. There's a chance that some of his kids are actually named in that, and they are his co-defendants, and they need more time for the co-defendants to get their case together. Now, the smart thing to do would be to try the cases separately, right? That would be the smart thing to do. But that wouldn't be good for Diddy. They would have to try them all together to actually be good for Diddy. And right now, I'm guessing he only cares about what's good with Diddy. Now, why is this so important? Because for a number of reasons. Well, I did a live last night when we did a live tweet about what was going on in Diddy's arraignment. One of the things I called and said was them asking for a 2-week adjournment. They're not slick. They don't want a 2-week adjournment. They weren't ready. But here's the thing. When you look at judges in the trial calendars, everything is in order. So when the judge locks you in for a trial calendar, barring something major, you have to go along with that for the trial calendar. Now, why? Because there are other trials behind you. There are other trials around you. So that's why they set everything. It's like a doctor's appointment. You can't tell them to book you in for the weekend of the 21st and then pop up and be like, you know what, never mind, I want the 14th. Well, somebody already has the 14th. Diddy knew that by asking for a 2-week adjournment, the judge would come back if they granted it and say, well, we don't have 2 weeks. You know, there are other trials starting. We're going to have to put you after the trials. That's a way to get a 3-month extension. He just got a new lawyer. There are co-conspirators named. Again, People are saying that one of the reasons he asked for this is because some of his sons were named as co-conspirators. And now, instead of just representing Diddy, you have to represent his sons, which is another reason why he said he wanted 4 black women lawyers to represent 4 black women lawyers to represent him. He doesn't need 4 black women lawyers plus Brian. However, if Justin, Quincy, or even Christian is named, then who knows? At the very least, Combs Global was named in the papers over and over and over again. That's what these lawyers are talking about. Justin is CEO, I believe, of Combs Global. However, Janice Combs actually might be involved also. Hold on, let me check on this. Okay, I just checked. Janice Combs is not a part of Combs Global. However, it's important to note that even though she's not a part, again, Diddy's co-conspirators are named. It looks like Diddy is going to pay for everybody's defense, and they're going to be at one table. What's the good thing? They don't have to pay for their own lawyers. What's the bad thing? Diddy is paying for your lawyers. Again, Diddy's kids, I don't know, maybe they love their dad that much, but if I was a co-conspirator, I don't know necessarily whether I would let Diddy pay, because it's going to be harder to cop a plea deal, especially if they're all represented by the same either legal counsel or the people that Diddy is paying for. They said from the friction between the defense and the U.S. Attorney's Office at the suddenly called arraignment, Diddy's legal team made it clear. Mark Agnifilio said, Yana, we want to hit the pause button. Okay, Judge Submarinium gave him 48 hours, which is today. The Fed want things to move ahead with no delay. Again, the judge hasn't ruled. Diddy just said he wants too much. In the hearing, he said 2 weeks. Then when they wrote the letter to the judge told him, they told the judge, no, we're going to need 2 months. However, this is just a request. The judge could say no. Why would they say no? Well, because the judge asked him a million times over these past 5 months, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And they were fighting the government tooth and nail to make sure that it happened May 5th. Even the government was like, can we move it over? They were still fighting tooth and nail. Now, one thing about this being postponed, Diddy thinks that he might have cracked the code. But again, last time he thought he cracked the code, it did not work. In what way? Well, think about it. The feds have a certain deadline to get in all superseding indictments before trial starts. By waiting until all the deadlines pass and then saying, oh, we want an extension, they think they stopped the feds' investigation in its tracks. The feds have said numerous times, and they sit at the trial on April 14th, Your Honor, this investigation is ongoing. On top of this, I don't think Mark Agnifilio actually told him that even if that deadline passes, they can still petition the judge to actually bring in more evidence, especially if you move the trial by 2 months. That means more evidence. And then when more evidence comes in, you move it another 2 months, another 2 months. But time is never on Diddy's side or the co-conspirator side. We'll get into that in a second, but let me just read what they said. They said, Your Honor, Mark Agnifilio said, Yana, the government opposes our proposed reasonable adjournment request, even though it's still producing discovery, including discovery on count 4, a 15-year mandatory minimum count, and has indicated over our objection that it will not produce the exhibits and witnesses list due today or the additional 3,500 material. While this request is pending, Your Honor, under these circumstances, the discovery seemingly incomplete with a 15-year mandatory minimum count, we cannot in good conscience go to trial on a scheduled date. Your Honor, this is a problem the government has created. It opposes our reasonable request. It opposes the request because you knew how things were going to go. Diddy's team created this. Even Anthony Rico quit because of this. I know Diddy feels stupid that he let Anthony Rico go, but Anthony Rico said he also left because of ethical concerns. So you know how that is. In any case, you guys, what are you feeling? What are you actually thinking? Because, this is not good for Diddy at all. Now let's get into the kids, because I am doing everything I can to find out more information on this, but they are saying that one of the reasons they want this 2-month delay is because Diddy's co-conspirators, Diddy is going to have to offer cover, and the streets are buzzing that one of the co-conspirators might be the children that worked at his, or at least controlled as a CEO, isn't that Justin, some of Diddy's empire. Interesting enough, I don't think he ever made Quincy his first son adopted. I don't think he ever made Quincy CEO of anything or even gave him any real power. Back then, that might have been a slap in the face, but as of now, that's probably like the best blessing Diddy ever gave anybody. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.